Welcome to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast with your host, Brandon Seigel. I'm a published author, speaker, entrepreneur, and private practice strategist dedicated to transforming the way that healthcare functions. This podcast is all about empowering you to create the change you want to see. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast. In this episode, we're talking about 15-minute daily security checklist for private practice owners. I know that security is truly crucial in today's environment. Private practice owners build their reputation over years, and yet the biggest threats often come from the smallest oversights. I'm sure a lot of you have done things like this, from reused passwords to ignored EHR access. These minor cracks, they can compromise our business foundation. And so today, the goal is to talk about some of the 15-minute daily habits that we should be implementing to protect our operations, our patients, and most of all, peace of mind. And so I hope that this helps, because security is not a product, it's a process. And so I think it's really crucial as you're looking at private practice that you understand why security matters. So in other episodes, you're going to hear from, different partners and people that we bring on as thought leaders. And I think one of the things that I know often gets prioritized is trust. Our patients trust us. Our employees trust us. Our payer sources trust us. And what we don't recognize all the time is that we are prime targets. Healthcare practices are prime targets because medical, insurance, and financial data are highly valuable to pirates. And by pirates, I'm talking about cyber criminals. Most breaches aren't a result of a sophisticated attack, but rather inconsistent, basic protections like weak passwords and outdated systems are exposing data every day. And so human error, such as phishing or failing to revoke access for former employees, remains the most common point of failure. And so one of the things that Bruce Schneier says is that amateurs hack systems, professionals hack people. I think that's really important. Amateurs hack systems, professionals hack people. And I know in past episodes I brought this up, but one of the most common people hacks that I see is that I get an email every week from someone pretending to be an employee of mine asking for me to change direct deposit access for their paycheck. Literally, they fully, capably mirror an exact employee's credentials from email signature to everything. I wish we could blow up these pirates. I wish we could literally do so much, because honestly, it's embarrassing how we allow for people to misrepresent themselves and take advantage of good people. But the reality is it starts with us. We have to be careful. We have to protect ourselves, because people prey on trust. That's something we have to recognize. People are preying on trust. And so as we look at this, here is a checklist that I want you to think with, okay? Think of this checklist like locking the doors of your clinic each evening. 1, I want you to scan for suspicious emails. This literally takes 1 to 3 minutes. I already did mine today. I go into my spam, I go into my blocked, I go into that, and I literally just scan for suspicious emails. 2, I want you to confirm staff access. This is a 3 to 5 minute thing. I check all my past employees, current employees, subscriptions, all of that. Just checking who has access, what kind of privileges they have with their access. 3, we need to confirm that backups are running, both on servers, e-servers, as well as our computer, local drives, etc. That's a 5 to 7 minute check. What are those backups? 4, Install system updates. I want to review all my different updates for both software, malware bytes, all the different technologies that I have so that I have current updates on all my systems. 5, I like to review my banking and payment alerts. That's 9 to 11 minutes. And with that, I actually have all of my credit and everything locked down so that nothing can run. But I do check all my credit alerts, bank alerts, payment alerts, everything. 6, I want you to check security dashboards. This is where we have different setups with software that allow for us to protect how many times people are trying to get into our adding malware, what our online phishing is, security backups, etc. And then 7, we need to reinforce security culture. We need to make sure that our team understands what's going on. We need to communicate. I let our HR director know every time I get one of these fake emails changing, direct deposits and stuff like that. I like to let HR, I literally say, hey, HR, be aware, this is what I'm finding. See, one of the things that a lot of the times we do is we ignore spam. I want to see what's reaching spam so I know what's attacking ourselves. So when I get an email that looks like an employee's signature and everything, all of a sudden my first statement is, oh my gosh, they already know what this looks like, etc. What has been clicked on? Who has been participating in a way where they can actually duplicate and represent someone on my team so easily? And so I think that's really, really critical. So as we look at how to scan for suspicious emails, inspect incoming mail for unusual requests, password resets, unexpected attachments. Recently, I got several different email people that I know got hacked. And one of the things that I noticed that was a hack was they were saying they had a request for proposal from me. These are people that shouldn't be requesting for proposal. Phishing attacks often impersonate familiar vendors or insurance companies. And again, a lot of us don't recognize that sometimes those emails look like trusted sources. So a few years back, and this was probably 7 to 8 years ago when my book had first come out, um, I had gotten an opportunity that I thought someone reached out to me to say, we want you to speak at this conference. And it was an international conference, everything. It was a legitimate conference, all the things. We want to fly you first class. We want to give you $40,000 to speak, all these things. And I got so excited. I wrote back, I would love to know more, all this stuff. Sure enough, I ended up reaching out to someone that I had a relationship with that lived in this other country. And I said, hey, have you heard of this? Da, da, da. And fortunately, the person said, you know what, let me be on a meeting with this person. And sure enough, the person was in the meeting, spoke in the language of where this country was, and right off the bat said to me, you're getting phished. This person does not reside where you are, etc. And it was a full scam. So again, scammers will take it beyond email, just so you know. But one of the things I want to make sure is that always verify requests through a secondary channel before clicking links. I also want you to recognize that there's software out there that can help us spot threats and train our team for phishing. And one of those softwares that I like is KnowBe4. That's a software that teams can be trained on to spot threats via simulated phishing tests. Recently, I came across a clinic that lost billing access after an employee clicked on a fake password in which the whole thing was to reset a password, and that link allowed them direct access. So we got to be really careful. We cannot trust, really be careful in case you never know what's going to happen. The next thing I kind of want to dive into that I want to make sure everyone's understanding is how we confirm staff access. I think it's really critical that we regularly audit access to our EMR, our billing portals, our cloud storage systems, our Google Drives, our Google Workspace, our settings. Ensure every employee uses unique login credentials. One of the ways that we can support, even though it's a pain in the butt, is two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication will help us reduce things. Utilizing password managers and watching our passwords like a 1Password help us secure and manage credentials. The next thing I kind of mentioned was this idea of confirming backups are running. It's really important that we verify that all critical systems and storage are being backed up and that they have completed backup successfully. Ideally, we have 3 copies of our data. We have 2 different storage types. We have 1 offsite location. There's different softwares that can do this. Datto, Acronis, Backblaze. Those are all automated cloud backups. Again, one of our episodes talks about security and utilizing third-party software companies and IT companies to help us with this, but there's also software opportunities here. Something that I want to reiterate that I mentioned kind of in our initial checklist is this idea of system updates. I am always checking on my phone and my computer to make sure that my systems are fully updated. Updates are critical. That is how we get security patches that prevent cyber attacks, ensuring that all operating systems, antivirus software, EMR platforms are fully updated. Whether it's a Microsoft Defender, Malwarebytes, CrowdStrike, endpoint protection is really, really critical in today's environment. As we go to the next item on my checklist, I want you to recognize reviewing banking and payment alerts, why that's important. So basically, monitoring our banking and payment processor alerts help us detect small, suspicious transactions immediately. Configuring automatic notifications for any unusual account activity. This is what helps us all of a sudden catch when something may have been hacked, when something may have been changed, etc. And so recently, there was a therapy practice that detected a compromised credit card early because of a $3 test charge. It triggered their alert system. And so recognizing that sometimes it's these little micro charges that add up that are where we miss things get hacked. So really monitoring every single alert, going through your accounts payable, going through accounts receivable, all of those different things and getting those payment alerts are going to help you prepare. As we continue to look through this checklist, it's really important that we have a checklist related to our security dashboards, understanding that we can get alerts from cybersecurity tools, understanding the EHR logs and going through what security has been done. Sometimes what we'll do is with our EMRs, we'll actually scan for actions that have been performed by different user types. When a user tries to do something that they don't have the authority to do, understanding what privileges they've tried to access. Firewall dashboards are huge, scanning for red flag warnings rather than performing a deep audit. Again, looking at our software, whether it's a Google Workspace, whether it's a Microsoft 365 admin alert, whether we're using software like Malwarebytes, all these different tools will help us build infrastructure to fully protect our organization. And so when I talk about this item of security culture, I want to kind of reiterate that reinforcing security culture is something in part of our training process. So we want to share quickly daily reminders with our team. We want to lock computers when leaving desks. We want to avoid personal emails for patient data. We want to report suspicious activity immediately. We want to get in the habit of, hey, every time you find a security breach, flag us and you'll get a gift card or this or that. Maybe we gamify that approach. Culture is the ultimate security system. And so bringing that leadership mindset where each and every one of our team members, including our patients, flag like, hey, I noticed this today that you guys left a computer and my kid could have gone right on and played on that computer. And so understanding how we lock screens, even when going to the restroom, even when answering the phone, all these different things can be very valuable. And so security is a core leadership responsibility. We have to treat cybersecurity with the same non-negotiable standard as patient safety and employee safety. And so as I look at how we are prioritizing security in our practice, a thriving private practice is built on trust. Protecting that trust requires consistent attention to small operational details that dramatically reduce risk. I love this quote: the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. I really want to thank you for tuning into this episode of the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast. I think it's so crucial that you sometimes get to hear these quick tips, these different perspectives. It doesn't have to be long, doesn't have to be in depth, but the key walkaway is creating change on a daily basis to not just protect what we've built, but to continue to nurture how we change the trajectory of our private practice. Thank you again for tuning into this episode. Don't forget to like us, subscribe, share us with your friends, your families, your colleagues, because together we can thrive, not just survive. Thank you for tuning in to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast. I'm incredibly grateful to each and every one of you. Exciting news. We're now available everywhere, from Spotify to Apple Podcasts to YouTube or anywhere you like to listen to your podcasts. So watch, listen, and reach out. If you love this episode, please drop a 5-star review. It truly means the world to me. Are you looking for more ways to elevate your practice? If so, now is your chance. Reach out, go to my website, or email me at brandon@wellnessworksmp.com. And remember, it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving.